Hello, welcome to our news broadcast daily, and following are today's headlines.
President Trung Tangsang meets leader of Russian energy giant Rosneft. Legislative leader holds talks with Vice President of Italian Chamber of Deputies. Plateau people finally access clean water.
President Trung Tangsang met with Igor Sechin, president of Rosneft, the leader of Russia's petroleum industry, in Hanoi on March 22nd.
The state leader expressed his pleasure at the fine outcomes of the relationship between Vietnam and Russia. He described oil cooperation as one of the most effective elements of their bilateral partnership. He highlighted the success of the venture between Petro-Vietnam and Rosneft, Russia's largest oil company. He declared that Vietnam is committed to facilitating both countries' oil and gas firms to do business, and encouraged Rosneft to expand its Vietnamese investment further. Sechin said that with the development of the energy sector in Vietnam, Rosneft will invest in many projects and hopes Petro-Vietnam will promote the company's activities in the country. Rosneft operates in oil and gas exploration and exploitation and produces oil and petrochemical products. It boasts oil reserves of about 22.8 billion barrels.
National Assembly Chairman Nguyễn Sinh Hùng has said the agreement to establish a strategic partnership between Vietnam and Italy created new cooperation opportunities for the parliaments of both countries.
Chairman Hung made the remarks during talks with Marina Serini, Vice President of the Italian Chamber of Deputies in Rome, on March the 21st. Serini responded with praise for the efficiency shown by the Vietnamese parliament, especially in approving the nation's new constitution. The two sides agreed that they would enhance their consultation mechanisms and forge closer bilateral cooperation at multilateral forums. Earlier the same day, in a meeting with Italian President Giorgio Napolitano, Chairman Hung expressed the hope that Italy would facilitate the European Parliament's approval of the EU-Vietnam Partnership and Cooperation Agreement. He sought similar support for the EU-Vietnam Free Trade Agreement so that it can be signed this year. Napolitano said there was great potential to increase cooperation between Vietnam and Italy, and said that this should be done in ways that make the most of the strengths of both nations. On March 21st, Hung attended a ceremony held by the Italy-Vietnam Friendship Parliamentarian Group. Speaking at the event, Hung affirmed that the formation of the group represents an important step forward in bilateral ties and to increased parliamentarian cooperation between them. He said he hopes legislators from the two countries will seek out practical and effective cooperative plans to deepen their friendship and mutual understanding. The group's president, Pier Ferdinando Cassini, asserted that interparliamentary cooperation has contributed to promoting Italy-Vietnam relations, especially in economics. He added the group will do their utmost to consolidate the fine relations and solidarity between the two legislative bodies and two peoples.
Administrator of the United Nations Development Programme, Helen Clark, has hailed the progress that Ho Chi Minh City has made in poverty reduction.
Meeting chairman of the Municipal People's Committee, Le Hong Quang, on March 21st, the visiting UNDP leader recognised the attempts of the city to ensure immigrants access to healthcare and education services. She praised the multidimensional poverty reduction model applied in the city, which includes measures to not only raise locals' income, but also to ensure their human rights. She said the UNDP also appreciates the city's efforts in administrative reforms, which have resulted in strong performances in different indexes. Quan said Ho Chi Minh City always considers poverty reduction and social welfare as important pillars of its process, ensuring balance, stable growth, and international integration. Quan also noted that the city reached its target of reducing the number of poor households in 2013, 2 years ahead of schedule.
The conclusion of Vietnam-Norway and Vietnam-European Union Free Trade Agreement will create a good chance for Vietnamese and Norwegian businesses to foster bilateral ties and establish a trade partnership. The remark was made at a meeting in Ho Chi Minh City on March 21st.
In attendance at the event was Norwegian Crown Prince Haakon Magnus, whose visit has opened up opportunities for enterprises from his country to seek partners in Vietnam. The Norwegian royal left Ho Chi Minh City on the same day, successfully concluding his 4-day visit to Vietnam. At the event, business players from both countries have looked at ways to step up the agreement negotiations between Vietnam and the EU, which are expected to wrap up by the end of 2014 and help bolster bilateral trade ties. Deputy Minister of Industry and Trade Ho Thi Kim Thoa noted that two-way trade between Vietnam and Norway hit $240 million in 2013, which is deemed relatively modest and has yet to match each country's potential. Thoa added Vietnam hopes to attract investment in the fields in which Norway has strength, such as shipbuilding, oil and gas, energy and seafood.
Rice prices in the Mekong Delta had increased slightly after the government approved the purchase of 1 million tons for a national temporary reserve last weekend.
Only last week, the price for winter's spring rice remained high, but then suddenly fell, partly due to the competitive pressure from Thai rice. Traders also stopped doing business as prices declined sharply. Many of them were even willing to lose deposits that farmers had put down for advance purchases. Meanwhile, demand from international rice importers has not been high as they are waiting for the expected lower prices. However, after the Vietnamese government decided to buy 1 million tons of rice last weekend, farmers and traders resumed business as prices inched up. Since early this year, the 5 biggest rice exporters in the world, including Thailand, India, Vietnam, Pakistan and the US, have sold only 4.1 million tons, a fall of 7.2% compared to the same period last year. According to the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, this year's winter's spring rice crop will have a high yield and there will be great pressure to export. By the end of February, members of the Vietnam Food Association exported 638,000 tons for $275 million, a drop of 13.5% in quantity and 60% in value compared to 2013.
After years suffering from water shortages, local people in the Van Stone Plateau in the northern mountainous province of Hà Giang finally have access to fresh water. On the occasion of World Water Day, let's see how water access is changing plateau people's lives.
The scarcity of water in Dong Van prevented people there from escaping from poverty. To help local people, the government built several reservoirs in the mountains to store water in the rainy season. However, the small amount of water could meet only part of the local demand. In the dry season, these lakes were nearly empty, forcing people to travel dozens of kilometers to gather enough water merely to cook. After some years of research, the National Center for Water Resources Planning and Investigation under the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment found 23 places containing underground water with a capacity of more than 9,000 cubic meters per day. The source is able to provide water for 100,000 people per day. Thanks to this, the first water supply station was built in the region in early 2013 and handed over to the local authorities in late last month. The station is able to supply water to 10,000 local people with an average amount of 80 liters per head a day. Built at a cost of less than $100,000, the work has proven useful to the residents there. I'm very happy we now have fresh water to serve our daily life. Dong Van is considered one of the regions with the highest rates of water scarcity. The construction of the station is very useful and meets the local people's demand. At the handing over ceremony, Deputy Minister of Natural Resources and Environment Nguyễn Thái Lai affirmed this was a breakthrough in building water supply stations for local people. This is an effective model to ensure water supply for people during the dry season. The ministry will continue to build similar stations in the districts of Mèo Vạc, Quản Bạ and Yên Minh to ensure clean water supply to local people. This will contribute to reducing poverty and improving the living conditions of ethnic minority people there.
And that is the end of our news today. Thanks for watching and see you next time.